We're on it tonight. Everybody brought their A game.
That's good. We had our brain food.
You know what I love about January 1st at midnight is the look on the guy at Walmart's face when it's 12:01 and you're like, I want a fishing license.
Let's go. Do you really shoot the halibut once you get him close to the surface?
We just shoot the halibut every Thursday.
Fellas, get back in that current.
I love it.
I hate
That's all right.
I hate me too, bud.
It's okay, Ryan.
Like a really fat branch, definitely.
Should we just fast forward to the part where I say, so you got skunked?
I have a question for you. So
You came to the right place, bud.
no, listen.
And we are back. This is the Rutten River Pursuits podcast. And we are in the current. This is Reality Outdoor Radio, where our mission is to get you in the outdoors by introducing you to the people, skills, and products that you can trust.
You can trust them.
My name is Pick.
Hey, Pig.
Who else is with me?
I'm Steve.
I'm Will.
And I'm Phil.
Hi, Bucky.
Hi, Bucky.
Oh, you got me there. I didn't know who it was at first.
I just thought I'd throw in something different, kind of like what you just did to us tonight, bud.
Yeah,
What?
Yeah.
but before we go into that,
Oh, yeah, we need to hear from Ryan.
Ryan, tell us about this month's sponsor.
This episode is brought to you in part by Mountain Dew Kickstart.
Yeah, it is.
Mountain Dew Kickstart is a great tasting morning refreshment beverage.
Don't you mean replenishment beverage?
Maybe, but I know I get some refreshment from it.
Yeah, well, I need that replenishment.
Well, maybe we'll just agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Or we just agree on the fact that it gives you both, bud.
I can totally get behind that.
It also energizes you in the morning to provide you with that appropriate boost to start your day. Kickstart is a delicious combination of juice, caffeine, and Mountain Dew.
All three
It's got them, bud.
triple threats.
It sure is. It sure is. Hey, all those flavor options are out there too. You got the pineapple, orange, mango, the black cherry,
Yeah,
fruit punch, mango, lime. There's even a raspberry citrus, but guess what?
I need to try that pineapple orange mango.
It sounds delicious, but you got Stevie's favorite, of course, the orange citrus.
Orange citrus.
Those
And
orange
the
cans, they're all full up in the fridge. You got to reach.
You have to wait around them
Yeah, you
to
do.
get to other things. But I usually end up just grabbing one because it's right there, bud.
So, if you want to start your morning off like the bad boy of podcasting, Mr. Steve Miser,
I know I do.
just grab yourself a Mountain Dew Kickstart and give your day a kickstart. Delicious.
It is so nice to be around the table with you guys this evening.
I know. And I'm just cracked a nice...
Tall, cool, orange Kickstart.
I barely got it away from Steve.
You had to grab it.
In fact, you had to wrestle it away.
Barely.
You like that orange, don't you?
I love the orange.
The orange Kickstarts.
Oh, it's good stuff. Good stuff, that Kickstart.
Yeah, it is.
Anyways, as much as I love Kickstart, I also love Big Fish.
Wait, before we get into that,
Yeah.
let's talk about Big Fish Pick catfishing us.
He did,
tonight.
didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Whoa, man.
Yeah, BFP,
Yeah.
if you will.
What happened, Buck?
He catfished us tonight. He must have called him.
I'm not sure everybody understands what it means to be catfish.
I'm not sure. I know either.
If he called Catfish and said, "Hey, I want to show up, but I want to, how do I do it with some
Like our
panache?"
Catfish.
Yeah, with our, with Uncle Catfish.
With some panache.
Yeah, and Catfish would say, "All right, this is what you do. You don't tell anybody. In fact, you tell them you can't make it.
That you're laid up for about 4 hours.
Yeah, and you're all jammed up. It works good that way. And then you just show up and you walk downstairs right before they're about to do something."
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I nailed that part.
Yeah, I did not know that you're. In fact, I told him on the phone. I'm like, Bud, I'm sorry. I texted him. I'm like, yeah, we're at the Studio A this week. We're not going to, Ryan's out of town. And he went radio silent on me. So I didn't know if you were jammed up or what.
No, I wanted to be here tonight. I wanted to podcast with you guys. So I made the trek up here to Studio A, and I'm loving it. It is looking nice. It's the first time around the table.
This is a nice place.
Absolutely. Yeah. It is nice looking.
It's cozy.
Cozy is a nice word.
It's like a cabin in here almost.
Yep. Absolutely.
We throw in a little fireplace.
A little crackle.
Oh, wood fire.
That would be nice.
Nice, warm, dry, warm heat.
So I don't want to.
What, Stevie? What, waste any time?
Waste any more time, because I really want to talk about
What, Bud?
Pick's week.
Oh.
As much as I love talking about how awesome our studio is.
I'd love to talk about Pick's week, but let's talk about mine.
Oh,
Well, what'd you do?
Nothing.
You didn't.
I didn't really do much. Honestly, it was just pretty much a regular week for me. Video work and editing stuff. Blah blah blah. I'm not gonna beat anybody's.
all right. Okay, we got that out of the way. So Pick,
I appreciate it. Well,
Yeah, I just didn't get to the mountains. It's easy to do when you got your buck tag and your doe tag fit.
yes. Touche. Touche.
That's true. So, Pick.
Yes.
I
Stevie.
Let's hear it. Tell us about your week.
I had a great weekend.
Where'd you go, Bud?
I went up to a little town just off of Lake Ontario called Waterport, New York.
Is there water there?
There is some water.
No way.
Not just-
I didn't ever guess.
Yeah.
Not just a clever name.
No,
I didn't
not.
ever guess.
Yeah. A little lake called Ontario, and there's some tributaries that run into that lake. And this time of the year, there's some salmons and some brown trout, steelhead that come up out of the lake to do some spawning. So myself and 6 other friends took the trek up there and spent 3.5 days doing some fishing. So this is my second year going up, and a good friend of mine, his cousin, invited us up. He's been going up for probably 15 or 20 years, and invited some friends up, and we had a blast.
Did you?
Yeah, we could have done better as far as catching fish, but Thursday we had a bunch of rain down here, and of course up there as well, and the water got high, it got muddy, so the conditions were not favorable to catch fish, but we were able to land a few.
You caught some quality, though.
Yeah, Friday, like I said, we got there late Thursday evening. We had to work Thursday and left Maryland around 6 o'clock on Thursday evening, and got up there about midnight, maybe 12:30, and got a few hours of sleep and got up.
That's all you need whenever you're.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. You're jacked up and you're ready to go fishing. So we stopped over and got our license and put the waders on and headed over to one of the spots. And again, the water was high and muddy, but you can't catch them if your line's not in the water.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know that, but that's how it works.
You gotta have
That's
some.
interesting, Pick. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, so you got to have the line in the water. That's step one. So
We don't know a lot of our listeners' experience levels, so that's probably a good thing to mention.
yeah,
I guess.
yeah.
But you got to have a little bit of rain is good for that, right? Like you don't want to be going up there in the middle of a drought. Like my understanding, they like when there's a little bit of current running through there, right? The water can't be too low.
Sure. Yeah, because if the water is too low, like you said, Stevie, then they have no water to basically get up into the tributaries to do some of their spawning. So, but when you get 1.5 inches of rain in a 18-hour period, that's a little bit
kind of crazy.
too much.
That's pretty good rain.
Yeah. So, But you're correct. I mean, the water level got up, which allowed the fish to get up into the tributaries, but it did make conditions tough to hook them. So we did our best, and that first day we did land, I believe, 3 fish between the 7 of us. I was able to, that first day, I was very fortunate enough to land my very first brown trout.
Like first ever brown trout.
Well, I've caught local stocked brown trout here in Maryland and Pennsylvania and West Virginia.
Oh, so
but
thanks for leading us down that road.
But this is a brown trout. Like,
remember when Bucky never shot a deer, a buck in Pennsylvania? Same thing, right?
Yeah,
except for his first buck he shot.
Let me be the first to say. Except for my first buck.
Oh my gosh!
Did you just do a spit take there?
It was a real honest one.
I should not be drinking during
Juice box. It's a juice box, though.
Yeah, still.
You're lucky. It's economical. Compared to other things you could do spit takes on out of that refrigerator.
I couldn't hold it back. No, it's similar. You're like, I never caught a brown trout, except for all the brown trout I've ever caught.
Let me rephrase that. I have never
Welcome to the club.
I have never caught a brown trout of this stature. They've always been 6 to 8, maybe 10 inches stocked brown trout.
Yeah.
This was a 10-pound.
Oh, that was no joke.
Brown trout.
Brown.
Oh, yeah.
I got one up there for you to look at.
Yeah. Very, very similar, Will.
Yeah.
And, I can remember going up to fish for salmon, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was over in the eastern part of New York, still a tributary of Lake Ontario, the Salmon River and the Pulaski and the surrounding areas. And back then, you were able to snag. You had a 2 to 3 inch lead weight with a large treble hook, and you were just casting and just yanking and trying to get it, sink a hook into it.
You'd be in trouble now, right?
You would be in trouble. yes. If you did
2
that
ounces
now,
of it,
you would be paying a hefty fine.
Yeah.
So I have never caught a trout or a brown trout of this.
You caught a trout?
Never.
I saw you catch a trout.
We're
ice fishing.
So when he told us that was his first trout ice fishing, I wonder if it really
It wasn't.
It was like, well, I'm not counting that 10-pound brown trout that I caught ice fishing last year.
Yeah. This year, it was the first brown trout.
The first lake brown, the first
migratory. That's it. Migratory brown trout. Yes.
Okay. High altitude.
Yeah.
Now, the brown trout won't do what salmon do. They'll return back to the lake, right?
Correct.
They don't die off.
And from my good friend Rich, who actually organizes this trip, I've learned a ton from him over the last few years. And so the salmon will actually go up the tributaries to spawn, and then the steelhead and the brown trout will actually follow them up to actually feed on the eggs that the females are laying. So so they return. They don't die after the spawning process. So they can sustain life for.
So they follow and to eat, and then they also spawn as well. Then.
The salmon aren't eating.
They're just spawning, but the other fish will then follow them to eat and to spawn. No, or just to eat and then return back.
Well, I think
I'm just.
I don't think that's the main reason, and I'm not sure up there like what time of the year the trout spawn is.
Okay, all right.
And I'm uncertain as well.
But they're all there in the water.
They're there to eat.
Absolutely, yeah.
Regardless, they're there.
Yeah, you have the coho salmon, you have the king salmon, which is also known as the Chinook. They're the same fish, just different names. Okay. You have the brown trout.
Some people call it a Chinook.
A Chinook. Yes.
Chinook.
And then steelhead. And I found this out over the weekend that steelhead are the same fish as a rainbow.
Yeah.
They just are migratory. So they're of the same genetic makeup and species as our
Rainbow
local
trout.
rainbow trout. But being that they...
I've heard both. Are you got a thing on that or not? A bead on that? Because I've heard two different things.
No, I think originally a steelhead was a trout that migrated in salt water. So I think there's a salt water. It spawned in fresh water but lived in salt water, and then at one point, I don't know if they stocked them in the Great Lakes or how that came about, but there's something to do with it being, a real true steelhead spends part of its life, I believe, in salt water.
Yeah.
Now these are basically just big rainbows. And they've got a chromy look to them.
Yeah,
these are big rainbows.
Yeah, they are.
So they're so you just kind of call them steelhead because they're big. But I'm almost positive that a traditional steelhead. Now I don't know how you get. That's a long journey for a rainbow to spend time in salt water, and it may have something to do with. I think it is actually with a wet, maybe like a West Coast type thing. Steelhead.
I was listening to another podcast, Committing Podultry, but it was very it was very interesting. They were talking about the Pacific salmon. You know about the pinks, those type of salmon, and there are I can't think of the other Pacific salmon name. But they listed those, and they're a little bit different than the Great Lake salmon. But still a fabulous fish to catch and eat. Absolutely. So it was a blast. We're definitely going to go back up again next year. Maybe take a trip in the spring as well.
Ooh. What's going on in the springs?
Springs, they also will spawn.
Something similar.
Yeah. Yep. So, so I had a blast. Rich, the gentleman who, like I said, kind of heads the trip up and organizes it, he came up to me and he said, Brian, if I caught that brown and didn't catch another fish the rest of the weekend, I would be happy.
That'd be it.
And I realized kind of the magnitude, I guess, of how fortunate I was to catch that brown on the first day.
Yeah, I don't want to jump in, but I can relate. I did something very similar. In all honesty, I didn't know what it meant.
We could go back and do a current
about
from 8 years ago
about me.
We'll talk about that.
But it happened to me. I had no clue that was a significant size fish for the time and the space.
My goodness.
Because I had only caught some Chinooks, and they're going 35, 37 inches and weigh 12 to 18 pounds.
9 points.
And I caught this brown trout, which is significantly smaller than a Chinook.
Was it?
Yeah, it was. And he told me, he's like, dude, he said, that's a trophy brown trout.
So are you going to do anything with it? Are you going to do a European mount? Or
No,
I can do a Euro mount for you with that if you want.
It's already vacuum packed. I left the skin on. So there are cleaning stations up there. In the state of New York, you cannot clean your fish within 100 yards from the bank of the stream or river.
Okay.
That's a law. So they have these cleaning stations.
They have to have that law there because it is wall to wall dudes, and
there'd be fish heads and backbones, rib cages,
and there's no bear to clean it up. You know what I mean? There's no
you snag
grizzlies,
snag a salmon carcass.
No grizzlies on the shoreline and bald eagles.
So when we went to the
bald eagles
station,
up there, but not enough.
Where?
None of
up in Alaska.
Yeah, no, I mean in New York, but not enough to clean the stream.
That's a big carcass. Yeah. So that fish is I'm planning on smoking. I left the skin on. When you go to the cleaning station, you can tell whoever is cleaning the fish whether you want skin on, skin off, a steak, filleted, deveined. So I left the skin on that particular
What do you
fish.
tip a fish cleaner?
Whatever.
Or do they have rates?
No. Well, they have a rate.
Yeah.
You go in, and if you want just the regular fillet with the skin on or off, it's $3.
Are thick. They're thick enough to fillet it.
Absolutely.
Isn't that
they're
something?
3/4 of an inch to an inch
We're
thick.
not filleting anything we pull out of Cowan's Gap.
No. Yeah, it's $3 to $6 per fish,
That's pretty reasonable.
depending on what you had. And
For what you get out of it?
Did you see the
pound?
Did you see or even smell those truck full of the carcass fish?
no, we went into a
You can
small
smell them before
building.
you see them.
I bet.
It's amazing how
night.
I took a little video of these guys cleaning this fish, and it is amazing. They clean a fish faster than anyone else I've
Do it
ever seen.
blindfolded,
Oh my
probably.
gosh. Yeah, they're just,
Old Joe blindfold up there.
Oh, it's amazing.
Joey
It's
blindfold.
worth the $3 or $4 to go in and just watch them clean these fish.
see
Do
'em
they
archery
steak
shoot.
up the salmon, or do they fillet those, or will they do whatever you want?
They'll do whatever you want.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. They'll do whatever you want.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
We should do that. Like,
Oh,
we
it
should
would be a
set up
blast.
one of those stands, on the first day of trout
first
season
day.
somewhere.
And
Yeah.
with headphones, and then we could do like a PA system.
Yeah. Like right at the park.
And clean people's fish. for
Clean
'em.
their fish.
Is that legal?
You just gut them and clean, rinse them out. There you go.
I'm your Huckleberry.
$3.
They bagged them up. They bag them up for you. We
Well,
have
let's not
bags.
get crazy
Okay.
there.
All right.
Paper, maybe.
Paper bag.
I'll have my wife start saving the Walmart's bag.
It's BYOB. Bring your own bag.
Yeah, we don't want to promote plastic.
No.
No.
No, but I had a blast. As the weekend went on, the water kept going down. It got clearer. So Friday was a 1-fish day for me.
That's it.
Saturday was a 2-fish day for me, and Sunday morning, after we checked out, we went to the river and fished, and it was a 3-fish day. So that's a limit. A 3-day fish is a limit. So
Take me to the river.
yeah, it was a good time, and I'm looking forward to getting up there again.
So what did you guys use? You were spin
Fishing rods.
Yeah. There's a couple of guys.
Probably fishing rods.
Couple of guys that
Can't
had some.
snag 'em
For our
anymore.
folks that might not be as familiar with fishing.
Yeah, for those not familiar.
Listen, I'm going to stop this real quick. I know we're in the heart of archery season, and Stevie, when this starts, he just
he's going.
Forget it. Yeah.
This is
I told
We're
you
center
guys.
pinning right down the center of the river.
The problem is I didn't get out this week. Bucky didn't get out this week, and so this is Pick and Stevie's show.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm just along for the ride. I'm riding coattails here.
I
guys.
guess. Yeah, me too.
I just got to, some news, but don't let that get in the way of a good fishing story, though.
So Bucky, we used spinning reels.
Did you?
I had a 7-foot
Did
rod.
ya?
Yes, 7-foot with a spinning reel, 12 or 14 pound test, single hook.
Yeah.
It was a 1/0, and we used salmon egg sacks.
Did you?
So it's
Potsky baits.
Potsky Baits makes some salmon egg sacks, but there's just one of the local places that we get our license from.
Yeah.
It's right across the street from the hotel that we stayed at.
Okay.
There's about 8 or 10 salmon eggs in a small mesh bag that's tied off.
Yeah.
And you have a split shot, maybe 2 split shots depending on the depth of the water and the flow, and maybe 20 to 24 inches above your hook, you put that salmon egg sack on there, and you just float it. You cast upstream, float it downstream,
Floated down the river.
float it down the river.
The sack is actually above the hook. So you don't the hook's not
No, you're
embedded in the.
Yeah, well, you're actually taking the hook and putting it through the sack, so it's attached to itself.
But then you pull the sack. You said 24 inches.
No, the weight.
No,
the weight.
Split shot.
The split shot.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, the split shot is, again, depending on.
I get so excited. We haven't had much fishing talk lately.
Depending on.
Go on.
Depending on the current, how fast the current is and the depth, you put your weight and or the length that you actually want your salmon egg sack to elevate or hover.
Just drift it. Just like you're drifting powered bait or whatever.
Yep. Just drift it.
Ain't that crazy?
Yep. So that's pretty much the method. You're just.
Was there like one guy that was just hot in a hole, or just seemed to find him? Or not really? Not
really. I mean, it was tough both Friday and Saturday.
I hate that guy. Whoever that is, I hate him. Like you stand beside him and they're just ripping fish beside you.
Yeah.
I don't like that person.
Did you see anybody else catching more?
Yes,
you did.
Yes, the very first day.
Kind of asked. That's what I kind of was asking.
Yeah,
and you're like,
well, it wasn't part.
That person didn't exist.
It wasn't part of our group.
But like anybody,
there was. It looked like a father and son.
But how does Stevie ask the same question and you find the way to answer him?
I thought you meant within our group, within the confines of the group.
I'm just kidding. I'm picking. I'm glad we finally got to my question.
So
I'm
Will,
here for you, bud.
So Will, to answer your question, there was a father and son, which looked like a father and son with some fly fishing gear that were just hammering fish.
Those boys clean them up.
And
some of them.
So again, the water was high and muddy. We found a body of water that actually was fed by a reservoir. So that flow was controllable, which made the water a little bit clear and a little bit lower.
Was there time releases, or were you able to expect when the flow was coming? Or
to answer your question, I really don't know. I just we showed up at the what they call the power plant there, a reservoir. I don't even know the name of the reservoir, but when we showed up there, the water was. I mean, with your polarized glasses, you could easily spot a fish.
And that's where you guys are catching 1, 2, 3, and that's where those other guys were hammering it.
Yes, that was we fished elsewhere and then showed up at this reservoir. We found out that fish were visible. That was where I caught that big brown, and we had a couple other guys land some fish. But there was two guys above us. Again, looked like a father and son. They were just pulling fish in.
Did you see any fluorocarbon line in?
One of the guys had some mono filament line, and then he used a fluoro leader,
and that didn't make a difference.
No, I just used straight mono. But a lot of what I call purists that were there, where they have that fly fishing gear and they're out there and. There's I don't want to say controversy, but as the regulations state in the book, you have to hook the fish in the mouth.
Right.
And with the salmon in spawn mode and not feeding. And I liken it to a buck and rut. They got one thing on their mind, and that's to breed. Salmon are kind of the same way. They're really not actively feeding all that much, so it's difficult at times to get the salmon.
Trying to swat whatever's in their face out of the way,
and so
you're just trying to annoy them enough to get into strike.
Sometimes the technique is to drift that thing down and hoping that the line gets into their mouth or near their mouth, and you're able to lift up and hopefully
catch them in the mouth.
Absolutely. But it was a great weekend. It was a great weekend. I had a blast.
Did anyone accidentally foul hook?
Yes,
because that is
no bueno.
Yeah, it was no bueno. But it is one of the harder things to negotiate because they're not. Yeah, they're powerful fish.
Absolutely, sure. I did twice that first day. Yeah. I did twice that first day. You're looking at a hole that may be 5-6 feet deep, and there's 10 salmon in there.
Wow.
So you have an idea of where your line and your hook are going. going, but you don't know exactly where it is. And I foul hook a couple of fish, and you're right, Will. I mean, if you hook a fish in the dorsal or in the tail or the belly, I mean, you're going to be fighting that thing for 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it'll come off, so that way you're not stressing the fish and tiring it out. But on both occasions, I had to land the fish and realize it was foul hooked and unhook it, revive me, hold it, revive it a little bit, and that sucker takes off. And so, but it was definitely a great weekend. I really enjoyed myself up there in New York.
Oh, that's cool. Did you get any hunting in?
I didn't. No, I did move a stand. Went out and found out that the property that my in-laws have that I hunt is going to be logged. So that's going to change the dynamics of the season.
Changes a lot.
Yeah.
When's that?
The logger moved in yesterday.
Oh my!
Yeah.
Slip him a 10 and ask him to come back in January.
The logger's gonna. Fortunately, with the amount of ground that we have, they're going to start on one side of the property, and I'm going to
drive them
hunt
towards.
I'm going to hunt the other side of the property.
A logger drive.
I had 2 or 3 tree stands out in the property, and so I had to pull one down. I pulled my trail cameras just to make sure that nothing was going to happen to them with either a tree falling down on it or actually the tree being cut. That's gonna change the dynamics a little bit of the hunting season, but I'll still be able to get out. Like I said, I did change positions of a stand and go out and pull some trail cameras in. So I'll be getting out this Saturday with my bow. The bucks are starting to kick it up, and I've been getting a couple pictures of daylight travel. 11:30, 12 o'clock, midday. Bucks are cruising. So Saturday I'm going to get out in the tree stand in the morning and with my Matthews verdicts and see what happens.
Have you thought about doing any turkey hunting yet this year? Like, is there a fall turkey season in Maryland?
Yeah, it already passed.
It did.
Yeah, it already passed.
Okay.
Turkey season, the fall turkey season in Maryland is only.
Passed it in the House and the Senate.
Yeah. It's only 1 week. It's only 1 week long. It's from a Saturday to a Saturday
In Maryland.
In Maryland, yes. Yep. So, and I didn't. I was in archery mode and getting ready for this. Fishing trip up in New York. I didn't get an opportunity to go out. And usually,
the president of an NWTF chapter
didn't get out.
Did not prioritize.
Anybody in your chapter have any luck that you know of?
No.
That's tough.
It is tough. It is tough. I go out I take my bow out, and if I have an opportunity to get a turkey close, I'm going to take a shot with it. But
what is a turkey in the fall? When
what's it doing?
Like, what's it doing? Like, it's not.
It's sleeping
like a
and
turkey,
eating.
When you have they're in that breeding mode. It's just you got to catch them sleeping and eating.
Right. If you know where they're roosting and their travel corridor and where they're feeding, then you basically just have to get on top of them.
Yeah.
Way back in the day, if you get on a flock, you try to break them up, whether it be running at them, yelling at them, whistling at them, and they will disperse. And then usually, as most people should know,
as long as you don't break an ankle or something. If you're running in the woods full bore, it's easy to.
You should probably I'll do that for you next time.
I'll be good. You'll be the turkey breaker upper.
Turkey breaker. Yeah. Can you still call? Like, is there still calling techniques the same in the fall as there is in the summer? Like, has that changed drastically?
Yeah, they're definitely not as vocal in the fall as they are in the spring, but that tactic or technique that I was just describing about breaking them up. They're such a social bird, and they want to be with other turkeys.
Okay.
There is a call called a Kiki run that when they get dispersed, they'll use that call to actually locate.
Like?
It's hard to do without it. Yeah, it goes.
Okay. Really?
That's the best I can do
Yeah.
without a
That's
call.
pretty good.
Sounds like you're calling a cat half the time.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what they'll and they will get back together in almost the same exact spot or proximity of where they were broken up.
Do they stay like the males, females, jakes? Are they all together at that time? Do they split up like with deer? How they
Yeah, that's pretty
bucks,
much.
they're all together. One big happy.
Yeah, they'll flock up just like deer. You have a certain time of the year when the rut kicks in and they separate, and now in the fall they'll get back together and they'll flock up.
Really?
Yeah.
Animals are.
It's amazing.
All alike,
Yeah.
like there's. That's pretty cool.
It is.
That's
it
pretty
is.
cool. Bucky.
It's like going to a buffet or something.
And how so?
All the families kind of meeting up and going to Olive Garden.
Yeah.
Flocking up.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Like, okay, now you're speaking my language.
Sometimes.
Bucky,
Yeah, buddy.
I got a question for you.
What's up?
We get a little deep here.
Yeah.
We're deep in the current.
I gotta know, you've been hunting a lot this year. You've hit this really hard. And
Yeah,
you've been
buddy.
hunting a lot by yourself. You've been, I've seen you. You keep us posted. You go out in the stand a lot. Have you learned anything different this year? Like, what's the biggest takeaway you think for a semi-new hunter that you can share?
This is a good question.
I like it.
I'd like it to be addressed to me then when Bucky's finished.
Time in the woods. That's the biggest thing I've learned.
Like, but what do you like before the season, during the season?
I'm going to tell
All
you.
the above.
All the above, but it's time in the woods, just observing. It's just something. I think the most important thing for a new guy is to understand is it just doesn't happen in one season, maybe not in 2 seasons. You need to stack years onto it. That's why it's so important to start at an earlier
Have
age.
you passed on anything that you wish you wouldn't have? Like if you could go back,
No.
3 weeks or 4 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever.
Because I didn't have a shot that would have been a confident shot.
Okay.
Would have been an ethical shot.
So
You
there's
said
not.
that one deer.
Well, I didn't know he was a legal buck.
There's not a
and I
scrubby
could have
5
jumped
point
on him
that
with a
you
knife.
would've-
I mean, if I wanted to, but I didn't know he's a
Check
legal
your
buck.
regs on that
So,
one.
and that's another thing. That's a year. That was a previous year's lesson.
Yeah.
Just
binders.
yes, I do. They're not the best, but I do.
So there's not.
Did you have them with you?
They were in the pack. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Did you have them out of the pack?
No.
I'm just. I mean, these are all.
set yourself up for
we're
that.
Thursday night quarterbacking this thing.
But
Yeah.
but I think the number one thing to understand as a new hunter is it does take a few years, and what I'm learning is you need to be there to observe as well. Like we set up in a good spot, but until I sat in the woods and I started observing behavior.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
What are you
100%.
observing? Like when you're.
Well, there's some good news. There's a lot of good news in this. Number one, now I know where they mainly walk. This is a nice little funnel area. I've kind of sat back and now figured it out on the property. It's the funnel from up in the upper, higher parts of the property down towards where there are people that they are migrating to feed during the day and in the morning and the evening.
They're going to their
to
grocery store.
to a grocery store, and it's deer travel. They're traveling to and from where they're bedding to where they're eating, and in this particular area, it takes it from a nice trail, and it's like a funnel, and it goes up then, and we are about 40 yards away from the X.
So
As far as the tree stand is right now,
so
I would say
is
to be
it-
in prime archery zone for where the predominant travel is.
is it too late right now to move your stand? Like if you said, I'm getting on the X, well, let's move this 40 yards. Is this a bad time to do it?
Unless I knew somebody or knew people or knew that was an okay thing in the predominant notion of hunting, I would maybe do that. I don't think that is a good thing to do until next summer.
But if you had, say, you were comfortable using a climber,
definitely,
you would
definitely. I'd be over there.
I would agree with that.
I think that's why that's something else I've learned. Maybe I do need a climber, and I need to push myself there.
That's really pushing you.
It's hard. Yeah. It's a thing. I
totally do. Like I've learned so much, and I want to do so much because
last year was the only reason why I was able to get a shot at a buck and didn't work out, but I was
because you could get in the climber and move.
Yeah, I just went to a new
I've
place.
learned that lesson now, guys, and I want to up the game because I've already overcome the height issue in the ladder stand. Any ladder stand I can get up into. I'm not worried about it.
Great.
So would next year would you leave your ladder stand where you're at now and try to get more confident with a climber, or would you just move your ladder?
I'm going to move my ladder stand,
move that thing.
especially after what I've encountered the last few weeks.
Really?
I slow rolled the last week when I kind of took that weekend off, guys.
You're still slow rolling.
I have an issue. I have a left inguinal hernia that I've had repaired about 9 years back.
Yeah.
That has kind of it's finally given way.
It reared its ugly head.
In ugly ways, guys.
I'm sorry to hear that. We're feeling for you.
And it's finally gotten to the point where
like Mount St. Helens.
I can't ignore it. It's affected me on a daily, on a moment to moment basis. Like I can't ignore it. It needs to be addressed, and I probably should have jumped on it
podcast
earlier.
It's even
it hurt. The symptoms. The longer the day goes, the more dependent swelling I have. And we'll just leave it at that.
Bless your heart.
And
you need a cot.
So
we need to get you.
So
I sang you that thing.
Yeah, you did, Stevie. That harness.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that
do with it.
won't help me just sit at my desk and do what I need to do all day long. And thank goodness I don't have to lift people anymore. And I can work still.
Yeah. So I don't mean to jump off this topic. I mean, we can talk about.
But I can't hunt, and that's what I've kind of come to. I'm realizing my season might be over because I can't. It'd be hard for me to get. I can't drag a deer at this point.
Right.
Why would you ever?
I know to do it myself to prove I can still do it.
I would,
but I wouldn't be stupid at this point. I mean, I'm hurting too much.
I'd do it next year.
And even
call me.
But my surgery's scheduled for 2 days after the beginning of buck season.
That's it.
Of the rifle season.
That's all you need.
Yeah, I can get out that Saturday, maybe.
I don't know, bud. That might be pushing it.
No,
I mean, I'm not a doctor.
Saturday before. December 3rd is my.
Yeah, you'll be good. We gotta get you a deer.
So
tell the doctor all about it. It'll be fun.
So he said I could still hunt right now. Even
don't take medical advice from us, folks. Listen to experience.
I've got a great doc, so I'm completely. But I'm going to try to push it a little bit more. But
I want to go back to what you said earlier.
What's that?
That you
about his hernia?
No, not about the hernia. About the deer. You observe behavior.
Yes.
That is very important. I mean, the more time you spend in the woods, the more you can recognize posture of a deer, whether the deer is on alert, whether the deer is feeding, whether there is another deer behind the deer that you're watching.
And I'm not spooking them. They're not scenting me.
And that's great.
I'm getting confidence. I'm gaining some confidence in a lot of areas.
I like that, but like the recon that I found out this year, like there's no deer.
No deer.
I've to make the determinations that I've had, all the deer, the PIKs, the trail cameras, were all secondary to the choices I made because of the sign that I saw.
Okay, yeah.
What was that?
We put stands in, and this is my big takeaway. And I'm sorry, I'm all jacked up about it because
get on it.
I got a couple people asking me, and they're seeing some same things, and I'm like, you guys, you're on it. So what I found out is, obviously, if you can find those chronic rub lines, those things where you see like
CLDs,
old trees that are just rubbed up all the time,
CRLs. Chronic rub line.
CRL.
Hooked on phonics.
Those CRLs.
Anyway, if you can find them, that's just one sign, right?
Yeah.
But the next thing, you look for is like, is there poop? Is there poo? Like, and then is there a scrape? The more things that you can stack together will put you very close to the X.
Yeah.
Like, the more sign that you can, because there's a big difference. Like Bucky's saying, he's on the wrong side of the tracks. Really, he's not that far off. He's just a couple trees over.
Yeah.
So we did the same thing with him for that stand, where, in all honesty, we didn't pick a stand. It's just
kind of where we ended up.
We ended up and we claimed,
Yeah, that's why this year.
But like,
it's where it just happened.
Same thing.
I've hunted his stand already this year, and vice versa.
Yeah, there's sign. There's a scrape. Not a ton of rubbing over there.
Yeah.
Not a ton of rubs, but like there's a scrape and tons of poo.
How long have you had access to this property, and how long have you been hunting?
About 4 years now.
4 years? Okay.
Yeah.
And every year, has it confirmed the
I know
deer
this
sign?
is literally for us doing this kind of what we're doing. This is our 1.5 years.
In the last year,
So
I
two
think
turkey seasons.
the knowledge accelerated in the last year as far as the curve went. Like as soon as we started zeroing in, it went quick.
That's awesome. That's
what I don't even need the deer to really get in the vicinity of the deer.
Yeah.
So that's the big thing. Like, start stacking, deer sign.
Yeah.
It's the more evidence, the more you see, if you hear it and you
Especially
smell it.
Especially for archers.
Yeah.
Big difference.
But I've learned a ton,
good
guys.
stuff.
And again, it comes down to time in the woods. So
You got to be in the woods. Absolutely.
And that's why old guys like me learning how to hunt. Time is precious, because you do need that time.
Yeah.
So, thanks. I couldn't do it without guys like you and having a community of hunters to learn from.
Did you name your hernia?
No. What should we name it?
Think about it for next time.
What do you tip a hernia, doctor?
I don't know.
It depends on how the surgery goes.
Yeah, if I wake up, that's a start.
All right. We'll start with a 10 and go from there.
Starts with the anesthesiologist, but
All right, guys. I say we did this current justice.
we did. Hey, Stevie, before we close this up, we need to talk to Ryan one more time about some good friends of ours.
Oh, Ryan.
Tell us about our closing sponsor, Ryan.
This month's episodes are brought to you in part by Protection First Class Outdoors. PFC lubes were designed and developed to protect and lubricate your firearms, your bows, your tree stands, heck, all your outdoor equipment. Guys, I'm telling you, this stuff was originally designed to use in automotive undercoatings. Now, it don't get more corrosive than that.
I heard that.
That's true.
To make sure you head on over to pfcoutdoors.com, check out everything they got going on over there, pick up some of that lube. It's the ticket.
All right, guys.
Hey, it was good to be here at Studio A.
Thanks for coming.
Oh, I
don't always tell you this, but kind of glad you're here.
Thanks, buddy.
Take a while.
You know how to make a guy feel special.
Good thing we're recording that. You'll need to replay that a few times in the years.
All right, guys. Till next week.
All right. Get outdoors. You had a 2 to 3 inch lead weight with a large treble hook, and you were just casting and just yanking and trying to get it, sink a hook into it.
You'd be in treble now, right?
You would be in trouble. yes. If you
2
did that
ounces
now,
of it.
Like right at the park.
And clean people's fish.
Clean their fish.
Is that legal?
You just got them and clean, rinse them out There you go.
I'm your Huckleberry.
$3.
They bagged them up. They bag them up for you. We
Well,
got
let's not
bags.
get crazy
Okay,
there.
all right.
Paper, maybe.
Paper bag.
I'll have my wife start saving the Walmart's bag.
It's BYOB. Bring your own bag.
Yeah, we don't want to promote plastic.
No.
No.
They'll use that call to actually
What's that sound like?
locate.
Oh,
It's hard to
high
do without it.
pitch.
Yeah, it goes.
Really?
That's the best I can do
Yeah.
without a
That's
call.
pretty good.
Sounds like you're calling a cat half the time.
Yeah.
What do you tip a hernia doctor?